Hello everyone. Today we'll discuss some of the exercise problems with respect to Advanced Computer Architectures, Module 1, Chapter 1, Parallel Computer Models. First question, explain how instruction set, compiler technology, CPU implementation and control, cache and memory hierarchy affect the CPU performance and justify the effects in terms of program length, clock rate and effective CPI. This table gives the relation between system attributes towards performance factors. The first system attribute, instruction set architecture, directly affects instruction count, processor cycle instruction, these two factors. Then compiler technology affects instruction count, processor cycle per instruction as well as memory references per instruction. Processor implementation and control deals with the processor cycle per instruction as well as processor cycle time. Finally, cache and memory hierarchy. So that affects memory access latency as well as processor cycle time. Next question. A workstation uses a 1.5 GHz processor with a claimed 1000 MIPS rating to execute a given program. Assume a 1 cycle delay for each memory access. Question A. What is the effective CPI of this computer? Question B. Suppose the processor is being upgraded with a 3 GHz clock. However, even with faster cache, 2 cycles are needed per memory access. If 30% of the instructions require 1 memory access and another 5% require 2 memory access per instruction, what is the CPI of the upgraded processor with a compatible instruction set and equal instruction count in the given program mix? Initially, we need to note down some of the points. What was asked to calculate? One thing is effective CPI for the current machine and effective CPI for the upgraded machine. These two things they have asked to calculate. And what we can observe from the paragraph is after the upgradation also, it was taking once 2 cycles are required per memory access. One more observation is 30% of the instruction require 1 memory access. So those 30% of the instruction requires 1 memory access means total cycles required will be 1 into 2 because each memory access requires 2 cycles. And one more observation, 5% requires 2 memory access per instruction. So 2 memory access per instruction into how many cycles per memory access? It is 2. So 2 into 2, 4 cycles required. So these are the observations we can make. Then we'll calculate the final answer. The effective CPI of the processor is given by 1.5 giga, 1.5 into 10 raised to the power 9. This side it is 1000 into 10 raised to the power 6. So that can be written as 1 into 10 raised to the power 9. So 1.5 into 10 raised to the power 9 divided by 1 into 10 raised to the power 9. So 10 raised to the power 9 get cancelled. So it is equal to 1.5 cycles per instruction. Then What about the situation when it is being upgraded? So after upgradation, we need to add one delay. Assume one cycle delay for each memory access they have told. So one has to be mentioned, plus 30% of the instruction require one memory access. So 30% means 30 divided by 100. So 0.3 into one memory access means 1 into 2 cycles. So it is 0.3 into 2. Similarly, 5% of the memory access requires 2 memory access. So it is 5 by 100. So 0.05 into 2 memory access they have told. 2 memory access into 2 cycles per memory access. So it will be 4. So 0.05 into 4. So that will be the total number of cycles per instruction. Next question. Consider the execution of an object code with 2 into 10 raised to the power 6 instructions on a 40 MHz processor. The program consists of 4 major types of instructions: the instruction mix and the number of cycles (CPI) needed for each instruction type are given below based on the result of a program trace experiment. So table gives the CPI as well as instruction mix. So there are kind of instruction: arithmetic and logic, load or store with cache hit, branch instruction, memory references with cache miss. So these are the kind of instruction they have considered. Now question A. Calculate the average CPI when the program is executed on a uniprocessor with the above trace results. Question B. Calculate the corresponding MIPS rate based on CPI obtained in part A. The solution is average CPI is given by 1 into 0.6 because the such instructions are 60% of the mix will be there in the type of arithmetic and logic instruction. So CPI into instruction mix, so it is 1 into 0.6. Similarly, second one is 2 into 0.18, 18% of instruction. Third one is 12%, so 4 into 0.12. Fourth one is 10%, so it is 8 into 0.1. So that will give 2.24 cycles per instruction. That is the average CPI. Similarly, MIPS rate is given by 40 MHz divided by the number average CPI. So 40 divided by 2.24. So that will be equal to 17.86 MIPS. Next question. Indicate whether each of the following statements is true or false and justify your answer with reasoning and supportive or counter examples. The first statement, A. The CPU computations and I/O operations cannot be overlapped in multi-programmed computer. B. Synchronization of all processing elements in an SIMD computer is done by hardware rather than by software, as is often done in most MIMD computers. C. As far as programmability is concerned, shared memory multiprocessors offer simpler interprocessor communication support than that offered by message passing multicomputer. D. In an MIMD computer, all processors must execute the same instruction at the same time synchronously. E. As far as scalability is concerned, multi-computers with distributed memory are more scalable than shared memory multiprocessors. The first statement A is false because the fundamental idea of multiprogramming is to overlap and computations of some programs with the I/O operations of other programs. So that statement is wrong. Second statement is true. In an SIMD machine, all processors execute the same instruction at the same time. Hence, it is easy to implement synchronization in hardware. In an MIMD machine, different processors may execute different instructions at the same time, and it is difficult to support synchronization in hardware. Third statement is also true. Interprocessor communication is facilitated by sharing variables on multiprocessor and by passing messages among nodes of a multicomputer. The multicomputer approach is usually more difficult to program since the programmer must pay attention to the actual distribution of data among the processors. Third statement is false. In general, an MIMD machine executes different instruction streams on different processors. And the last statement, E, is true. Contention among processors to access the shared memory may create hotspots, making multiprocessors less scalable than multicomputers. Next question. The following code segment consisting of 6 instructions needs to be executed, and the expression is D of I is equal to A of I plus B of I into C of I for I varies from 0 to 63. The first statement is load R1 comma B of I. Second statement, load R2 comma C of I. Then it performs multiplication, multiply R1 comma R2. Then load R3 comma A of I. Add R3 comma R1. And finally store the resultant value R3 in D of I. Now, where R1, R2 and R3 are CPU registers. R1 is the within the bracket R1 is the content of R1. Alpha, beta, gamma and theta are the starting memory address of the array. B of I, C of I, A of I and D of I respectively. Assume 4 clock cycles for each load or store, 2 cycles for add and 8 cycles for multiply on either a uniprocessor or single processing element in an SIMD machine. Now the questions are: A. Calculate the total number of CPU cycles needed to execute the above code segment repeatedly 64 times on an SISD uniprocessor computer sequentially, ignoring all other time delays. Question B. Consider the use of an SIMD computer with 64 processing elements to execute the above vector operations in 6 synchronized vector instructions over 64 component vector data, and both driven by the same speed clock. Calculate the total execution time on the SIMD machine, ignoring instruction broadcast and other delays. Last question: what is the speed up gain of the SIMD computer over SISD computer? And the answer is the total number of cycles needed on sequential processor is 4 plus 4 plus 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 4 into 64, because it was mentioned it is repeating 64 times. And why we have written that 4 plus 4 plus 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 4? Because they have mentioned assume 4 clock cycles for each load and store. The instruction, if it is load or store, first instruction, second instruction, and the last instructions are last and fourth instruction also. They are load or store operations. So that requires 4 clock cycles. Then 2 cycles for add. So the fifth instruction is add instruction, so it requires 2 clock cycles. And multiply, third instruction is multiply, so that requires 8 clock cycles. So we will add all those number of clock cycles into, it is being repeated 64 times, so many cycles. And second is each processing element executes the same instruction on the corresponding elements of the vectors involved. There is no communication among the processors. Hence, the total number of cycles on each processing element is 4 plus 4 plus 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 4. So it is 26. The speed up is 64 with a perfectly parallel execution of the code. Thank you.